If it is or if it ain't, it's going to come out. Good morning, everybody. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration and juice. It is August the 7th, 2023, and today the topic is the will. Happy Monday. Happy Monday, everyone. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. Mine was just fine. Yes, mine was good overall, y'all. Y'all know that I went to quarter day on Saturday. So that was nice. Finally got a chance to go hang out with the Sims family for quarter day and everything like that. Got to see some familiar faces, meet some might not be so familiar faces and things of that nature. It was crazy because it was like everybody knew who I was, most of them already. And so that was kind of like, hey, how you doing? Who is this? kind of vibes. But I mean, you know, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm glad that my husband and my son tagged along. Saturday ended up being a nice day out for us. And the event was nice as well. So to God be good for that. You know, it was long overdue, y'all. Long overdue. Then y'all know we had Sunday, y'all. Sunday, it was back to school blessing day at the church. So they had a lot of cool things going on. They had a high school band there, even though I didn't get a chance to hear them play because I was inside, you know, doing my thing the whole time. And then by the time I went outside, the band wasn't out there no more. So I'm like, oh man. They had some football players come, and they came and like encouraged the elementary school or our class or whatever the case is. So that was cool. Every service we took them to the stage to be blessed, and that was NJ's first time going up there. So that was, you know, nice as well. I only took a photo at the first service, and the first service is significantly a smaller amount of people. The next two services, like, it's huge amounts of kids. So if you could just imagine, like, the stage just full of kids. The only thing I could think about, man, was that I guess make disciples by any means necessary. I guess that's what the Lord say about being fruitful and multiplying. You know, that's one way to make some disciples out here, you know. Procreate. Yeah, I guess Mountain West Church is doing that well, y'all, because, I mean, there's so many kids and stuff. And I guess you don't see it until you're, like, all together. But anywho. So that was Sunday and Saturday in a nutshell. It was crazy because, like, I guess they had food and all kinds of little good stuff out there. Let's say good morning to my mama, y'all. Good morning, mama. I guess, yeah, they had food and all kinds of things out there. And by the time I went out, me and NJ got in line. Next thing I know, a big fat drop of rain dropped on my head. I was like, wait a minute. And then next thing I know, whoosh. So, yeah, we got caught in the rain. I thought I had put my glasses in my purse because, like, once it started raining, you know, if you're wearing glasses, then, you know, your glasses getting wet. Thought I put them in my purse. Apparently, I must have missed my purse. So by the time I got to the car and I was about to pull out my glasses to dry them off, I'm like, where are my glasses? I had to go back to find my glasses. But it just so happened someone had already found them, and, you know, they were like, nothing's wrong with them. Da, da, da. I'm like, thank you. So, yeah, that's I guess the highlights of the weekend and everything like that. Speaking of highlights, man, shout out to my sister, y'all. She had another graduating class over the weekend and whatnot as well. So that was something cool that I saw. And I didn't know about this till after the fact as well. Apparently, there was a celebration for one of my uncles or whatnot, birthday celebration. So I was able to see, you know, a little bit of my family this weekend. Mom, if you want to contribute to what else happened this weekend, by all means, you know, you can comment and I will read it live. But yeah, y'all, I mean, you know, check out my sister. I believe she has another class coming up real soon. If that's something that you all are interested in, learning phlebotomy, things of that nature. I don't know if you want to get your hair done, anything, you know. Listen, we a multi-purpose family, man. We got all kinds of entrepreneur endeavors going on and whatnot. But anywho, yeah, that's our weekend in a nutshell. Let's get into the juice. All right. So, all right, the will, y'all. So, the inspiration for the will. Well, I mean, all I would say is that I woke up this morning, I guess around 4:30, so that means I missed my 4 o'clock alarm. And it's funny because when I first looked at the clock, I thought it said 4:03, and then I guess my eyes adjusted and it was saying 4:30. I was like, oh, okay. And then I listened to the prayer meditation. I mean, it was good and everything like that. I found myself a little distracted this morning because I ended up looking into some different things, just different things, man. And then, long story short, at some point, the phrase "the will" or this idea of the will of God came into my heart and mind, and so I started to look up verses centered around that. I even looked up, obviously, in gotquestions.org. There's plenty of articles. There's one that I put in the Go Deeper section, but if you guys go there, there's plenty of them that you all can, peruse and let marinate on your heart, souls, and minds in regards to this topic. But yeah, that's where I would say that the inspiration came from. It just was an inkling in my heart and mind, the will, or ultimately the will of God. I did look up both of those when I went to openbible.info. I looked up the will, that led me to like one verse, and then I looked up the will of God, and that led me to the rest of the verses. And so, yeah, let's get into it, y'all. Let's see what the Lord has to share through little old me. So, Revelations 4:11, it says, "Worthy are you, our Lord and God, to receive glory and honor and power, for you created all things, and by your will they existed and were created." I guess what's standing out to me this morning about this verse is maybe because we started a new season with the children's ministry yesterday, and it's all about creation and whatnot, and like a creating theme. And so perhaps that stood out to me the most today as I read that verse. Just thinking about that all things were created by his will. There's another verse in the Bible that talks about well, I know we're familiar with this phrase "FUBU," right? For us, by us. Well, on the flip side, in the Bible, there's a verse that talks about not only were we created by God, but we were created for God. So yeah, those are the things I was on my heart and mind when I first came across that verse. Um, and I guess we just don't fully understand the majesty of God. Like, just again, he's the most creative, right? And it just goes beyond our understanding, So I don't know. Those are the things that stood out to me as I read that verse this morning. So then the next verse I felt led to write down was 1 Peter 3:17. It says, "For it is better to suffer for doing good, if that should be God's will, than for doing evil." I mean, we don't like the idea of suffering, right? I know we don't. None of us like that idea. Again, if we're in our right minds, we don't like that idea of suffering. But again, it's saying here it's better to suffer for doing good. It's better to deal with persecution. It's better to suffer in any capacity when it comes to being a believer. Again, it says if it should be God's will for you to suffer, rather than to do evil and suffer. I guess what I'm seeing here is that either way you're gonna suffer, right? I mean, I don't, but I mean, it does talk about like I'm talking about the Bible in general now. It talks about I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but basically like the heavy load of sin versus the heavy load of coming to Christ and doing things according to his will and way. Like we feel like the weight that God puts on us, or the yoke, or however we want to look at it. We look at the things that God asks us to do as the most difficult, right? Or just I just think we just struggle with what we want to do versus what God is asking us to do. I think that's what it ultimately is. And so at the end of the day, it's like, oh, well, all these rules, all this, all that, oh, the testaments, all these different things, right? And we feel like it's easier, or we feel like it's easier to just do our own thing. But then on the flip side, then we forget about, or it's like, well, I'll just say what I was about to say. It seems like we forget about the trials and tribulations and things that we go through when we're in sin. Like, yeah, it might feel good for a moment, but then, again, like I was talking about the other day, if you're someone that does not have a reprobate mind, right, and heart and things like that, then you're dealing with the consequences of it. You're dealing with being convicted. You're dealing with the shame and the guilt and all those different things, when you could just come to Christ. And yeah, you're going to be dealing with a different set of issues, but you'll still have peace, joy, and all the blessings of the Lord through it. So just saying, I mean, you can weigh it for yourself and I guess figure out where you feel like it's best, and whatnot. But according to the Bible, it's better to, be in the will of God than to, suffer for doing evil. 1 John 2:17, it says, and the world is passing away along with its desires, but whoever does the will of God abides forever. I mean, we read this, right, and we can see these words, but I don't think we believe them. Again, just as humans, just based on the way we act. Like, it doesn't seem like we believe that these words are true. Because if we believe, right, that the world is passing away and the desires, then a lot of the things that we dwell on and fret about and worry about and all this different type of stuff, we wouldn't. Like, me and my husband had another conversation. It was yesterday. We had a conversation about the things I was talking to y'all about. I think it was Friday. And I'm like, y'all be praying for him. He's trying to plan out things to the T. And I already learned to stop planning out things to the T, and things like that. But basically, we kind of talked about that a little bit yesterday. And the thing is, it's not that, for example, I don't care about like making sure we have what we need and things like that. I know some people, they're so focused on money, for example. Like they like, oh, I keep hearing this 6 figures and things of that nature. I really don't even know what that means, honestly. Like I hear it so much, but I mean, what is that equal? Like, I don't know. I don't even want to misquote it because I might say it wrong. And y'all gonna be like, but I already said it. I don't know what it means. But basically, apparently that's a certain number, right? Like people are working towards that 6 figures, or they're working towards their first million, or they're working towards, and it's like, okay, you're doing all that, and then what, you get there, and then you feel like you're still not satisfied. You feel like you got to work towards the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. And I mean, I don't know, maybe that reminds me of, what my mom told me back at the day. You reach for the stars, and when you get there, reach for the moon. Like, there's nothing wrong with having goals and things, right, to reach towards and to do. But on the flip side, it's like, you can't take it with you. Like, I mean, that's the main thing. At the end of the day, like, we can't take any of our earthly possessions with us. And then when we realize, according to the Bible, that it says here that all in the world is passing away along with its desires. So, I mean, what does it mean at the end of the day anyway? Like, yeah, work, right? Be able to leave something for the next generations, 3 generations, whatever the case is. Like, all that's beautiful and great. But at some point, none of it will matter. Like, the only thing that's going to matter is what you did for God and what you're doing for God and His will and way and things like that. So, I don't know. I mean, I know that's not the easiest thing to consider. It's not, again, maybe it's not quote unquote practical to some people or things like that. But I mean, that's what's plainly written in the Word of God. And so it just behooves us to start to think about that, or start to become more spiritual minded, or, again, considering the will of God in all things versus stressing about things that may be out of His will anyway for you. Like, maybe you're not supposed to reach 6 figures, because if you reach 6 figures, it could be the most detrimental thing in your life. You never know. Like, you never know. And so you beat yourself up and you worry and you stress about not reaching that quote unquote goal, when at the end of the day, you could have been thriving and quote unquote successful, or whatever the case is, living humbly and just doing the will of God. I mean, I don't know. Just these are things that, I mean, hey, I'm just reading the verses and I'm telling y'all whatever comes to my heart and mind to say. So hopefully, I pray that the Lord speak through me. I hope that it's helping whoever listening to the sound of my voice. So, Mark 3:35, it says, For whoever does the will of God, he is my brother and my sisters and my mother. Y'all know this. I think, was Jesus, I don't know if he was on the cross when he, no, I don't think it was, well, I know Jesus said it, basically, and the people was referencing no, that probably wasn't when he was on the cross. Whenever it was, basically, the people was telling him that I guess his family was there and whatnot. It's like, oh, your brothers and sisters, your mother is here, da 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 da. And he just pretty much letting them know that whoever does the will of God is my brother and mother and sisters and all that. Like that, I mean, he was always talking on a deeper level, so that's one thing. I mean, obviously, um, yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just I don't even know what to even say about it, y'all. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's plain here. Whoever does the will of God, that is who is in fellowship with him, right? That's the brother, sister, mother, that type of relationship is what he has with us. That's what we've been adopted into. As we do the will of God, you become a citizen, however you want to look at it, or mother, father, well, I noticed that it didn't say nothing to my father, but sister, mother, and brother, and things like that. So, I guess what I'm receiving overall today, y'all, is it's important to do the will of God. Sometimes we may struggle with what that is, right? And what does that mean for me and things of that nature. You guys can go deeper. There's plenty of verses and whatnot to peruse in that article that I shared. It's at gotquestions.org. The one you can start with if you want to is how can I discern the will of God? But then there's plenty of other ones as well. I know there was one, talking about finding out your purpose and things of that nature. And I hope as you go deeper, you guys can, again, peruse these things, let these things marinate on your heart and mind. Like, seek the Lord about what his will is specifically for you. But I mean, the Bible tells us a lot of things in regards to what his will is in general. And so I think, again, just like the other day we were talking, man, you know what you need to do at the end of the day. A lot of us do. But ultimately, yeah, that's the juice, y'all. That's the juice this morning. If you don't know the will of God, seek him for the wisdom to understand the will of God. And if you do know the will of God, then hey, do it. I mean, that's the juice, y'all. That is the juice. Now listen, the Bible verse of today is Romans 8:11. It says, but if the spirit of him that raised up Jesus from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Christ from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his spirit that dwelleth in you. Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye.
Before I let you go, I have to let you know that I am now a brand ambassador for boldfaithcosmetics.com, where faith and beauty intersect. Friends, they have the awesome purpose of wanting to just bring inspiration through makeup. I think that is amazing, and I hope that you all check out their awesome lip colors and so much more. So visit boldfaithcosmetics.com and use the coupon code MIRACLE for 15% off. That's MIRACLE for 15% off.